Some 9-year-olds like, I need that parlay to hit this weekend.
And that is a great intro. Beefy Boy Dom, I like that you changed your name there. That is impressive, sir.
Oh yeah, I'm a real tech wizard over here.
For anyone that is tuning in, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're actually going to do, I think, maybe the first ever college football UFC combo betting. More so for UFC. We know you guys are here. It's the Beefy Boys breakdown. Fights are first. That's just the way of the land.
But I mean, hey, while you're at the book or while you're on your preferred website, that college football tab is right there, just a click away. You know, you can kill two birds with one stone, and just find more ways to donate money to the sports books. You know, every sports bettor knows that feeling. But no, Harrison had some really. What kind of birthed this is last weekend, just on our own, just like as friends and scumbags. Just Harrison had a couple of college football picks that he really liked, and we bet a little bit of college football, and we talked about it a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. And there's definitely some overlap between people that are fans of MMA and people that are fans of college football, and I mean that's really like what this show is right there. Yeah, man. So I mean, we're gonna definitely start with the nuts and bolts. You know what I'm here for. We know what you're here for. But yeah, man, here on the breakdown, we usually discuss the fights the day after as to what happened. But we also just personally love, we bet it, and we like talking about our picks for the week and what we think, and kicking the can around a little bit. And hopefully y'all enjoy this too, and then hopefully y'all learn something, and hopefully we all cash out at the book this weekend.
That would be tremendous. Nothing better than taking a casino's money. Sorry, that would be tremendous. Nothing better than taking a casino's money. I promise you that. If you haven't, go try. Odds are you can't, or you won't, or you do, but then you give it back. We know how they're rich. We know why they're conglomerate corporations at this point. But the point is, we're sharp. This guy played college football, so he's going to have some good insights there. And we've broken down fights for 3 years, so if you don't trust the way we break them down now, welcome.
Yeah, no, and I honestly do decent on my MMA bets, and I learn something every time. Like, the times I do get my ass handed to me, it's either just one of those things where this is a crazy sport and shit happens, or there is something to learn from, and either way, I feel like I get better and better. And honestly, man, and I know nobody feels better about their picks than the day before they actually make the picks, but I feel good about a couple of bets on this UFC card. I think we were talking, there's definitely value to be had on the prelims, but I think the co-main and main are kind of slam dunks too. Not a ton of value, but you parlay them together. But we'll get to it. There's a couple of fights where I say no bet just because there's a couple of fights that fucking stink on this card. Like, fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, inconsequential, not fun, can versus can matchups that I'm just not going to bet. And I'm going to advise you not to, too. But jerking the curtain, we got our boy, the guy who Paulo Costa said, this guy more Chad than me. How could you not bet on that? More Chad than Paulo Costa. You got Randy Costa. It was funny. I don't know if you saw the video of them meeting up. They shook hands, and the first thing out of Randy's mouth, these guys have never met each other. They're unrelated. Same last name. Randy's like, how's Dad? And then Paul was like, this guy's more Chad than me, this guy. It was pretty funny. But yeah, man, it's Randy Costa versus Guido Canetti. We've jokingly called him Guido Canetti in the past.
I think deservedly so.
Deservedly so. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he looked pretty goddamn good in his last fight. And we kind of, put a little bit of respect on his name. But he's also, like, way older than he looks. Shout out to his genetics. He looks like he's 33, but he's like 42. And Randy Costa, young guy, highly skilled. Now, if you look, he's on a 2L streak, and you're like, why are you so high on the guy on the 2L streak? Well, the skill set's there, and it's rare. The performance versus the outcome and the level of competition. Like, the guy, he's lost to Xiaonan and I think Tony Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. Like, guys I highly, highly respect. Guys I think that would both walk Guido Canetti easily. You know what I'm saying? So for those reasons, now you're not getting a ton of value. Costa's currently at minus 285, but it is one of my favorite picks on the card, and I think it's a great parlay builder. Now, betting the first fight of the night always sucks, especially in a parlay, because if it doesn't hit, your whole day is ruined. But I honestly think I think it's a good pick, man, and I think it's a good parlay builder.
So I definitely agree with you. I think that Randy Costa is probably one of my favorite picks on the whole card. I mean, if you take away the odds, obviously Sadiq Yusuf at minus 900 is going to be a slam dunk of a pick, but that's going to lower your odds unless you're taking like a 6 or 7.
I dove into that a little bit. We'll get into that. I mean, we'll get into that.
I mean, I definitely think he wins the fight, but I think at minus 900, that's just way, way, way too much that you'd be asking for what you'd get back, if that makes sense.
Oh, listen, we'll get to it. I really like the under there. The guy he's fighting is on like a 4 first-round knockout streak. And, like, Sadiq Yusuf has power. I like the under there, especially on a fight that's hard to find value on. But like I said, we'll get there. We're going in order.
Oh, yeah.
Next fight on the prelims. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, too, I think the Costa under is good here, too. That guy loves to go into firefights. Canetti's also not scared to firefight. So if it is under 2.5, that's great value. If it's under 1.5, I get a little sketchy on it.
Yeah, especially with the bantamweights. Now, also, that's another thing I didn't mention, the stylistic matchup. Guido Canetti will stand with Randy Costa, more than likely, and that's where I think Costa can excel. Keeping it pushing here, we've got Julia Stoliarenko versus Chelsea Handler. It's a catchweight fight. It's a weird one. This is one that I'm staying away from. I'm not betting it, and here's why. Stoliarenko, I think she's like 1-4 in her last 5 or something like that. It's not great. She's got the oldest, but a lot of wear and tear, a lot of mileage, a lot of L's. And then the girl she's fighting is the exact opposite. I think she's like 4-1. So just green as green can be. Green as what I got in this grinder here. And I just from a betting perspective, like there's just so many ways to spin that. Like, oh, the young dog versus the old vet. You know, Stoliarenko's had a lot of L's. You know, there's girls, one's on the way down, one's on the way up. But just 5 pro fights just isn't enough for me. I've gotten burned a couple times in the past couple of weeks betting debutantes. Staying away from this one, man. I don't know. I think, like, I really couldn't even make a pick. There's another fight on this card that I'm not betting, but I do have a pick. I just don't see the value. I literally couldn't even bring myself to pick because, like, if Chandler wins, we're going to be like, yeah, Stoliarenko's old and washed. We've seen that coming. And then if Stoliarenko wins, they're going to be like, yeah, you know, this girl's her debut, and, you know, she's fighting a veteran, and she'll figure it out. And, like, you know what I mean? Do you feel differently?
All I know is I don't want to bet this fight. Can't. Is that not working? There we go. Sorry, window switching is tough on me for the mic. I got to figure it out, though. Sorry, Beefy fam. We're working through. I got 2 monitors, so let's go.
The 2 monitors, we're making some upgrades here, using some different technology. Little growing pains, bear with us. But, yeah, man, I mean, and I think Vegas agrees with me. I think it's a minus 115, minus 105. So it's like you're not even going to get crazy value if you do make yourself pick one of these, you know, suspect fighters. I don't know. I just don't see the point in betting this one.
So right now it currently stands at, here, hold on, let me bring it up. It's minus 110, minus 110 on ESPN site.
Yeah, so it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes if I can't, like, pick, if it's, like, really close, but one fighter's getting a ton of value, I may, you know, as Yanni says, sprinkle a little bit. But, you know, like I said, in this fight for minus 110, what's the point of, like, picking a fighter that you don't really feel confident is going to win? I don't know. I'm sitting this one out.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good to me. And the last time I bet on Stoliarenko, she fucked my parlays, which, I mean, obviously you too, but like...
Yeah, that's when you were out here. That's funny, yeah.
2 or 3 of those, I think, were hitters minus her in that over. So I'm going to stay away from Stoliarenko. I think that's just the safe move. We can definitely keep it pushing, and I am showing the matchups here. Chelsea Chandler, which is hilarious because Chelsea Handler obviously is the woman that has the TV show. I think that's just a funny thing. But, yeah, so the people can see the records. They can all see the odds here for this next matchup. So if you want to introduce it, feel free, sir.
Oh, that's sick. Hell yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, so next up we got Felipe Lins taking on Maxime Grishin. And this is one where the first dog I'm picking, I like Lins. I'll get that out of the way. When I saw it, it was at plus 155. I like the value there. It's not that I think. So this is one when my knee-jerk reaction before I did my research was like, oh yeah, give me Lins, love me some Lins. Did a little research and it cooled me off from 2 units to 1 unit.
Okay, but you still like Lins though.
I still like Lynch. It didn't scare me off enough, but like I'm sitting here making my notes for this podcast, and I'm like writing down like why I like my picks as opposed to just my picks. And I didn't have a ton to say of like I was like I like Lynch. It's kind of a gut pick. I do like the value at plus 155. The last time we saw him, he looked like a completely new man. But I mean, both of these guys have pretty similar resumes, pretty similar records. They're like the Senate age. I think one's 37, one's 38. They're both used to fight at heavyweight, now fight at light heavyweight. So it's like there's so many like I don't think that either guy has like a super advantage. But for that reason, I'm going with the dog because I see it as value because I see him as pretty. I see it like 55-45 wins. But
okay.
Like I like Lynn's, but I do think it's pretty goddamn close, and these guys are pretty goddamn similar. However, I say give me the value at plus 155, and also probably as a straight bet. I've been doing that lately.
Yeah, straights. I like straights.
Is straight bets. Leave them out of the parlay. Don't get greedy with it. Yeah, or if there's another fight, like say you love Randy Costa, but you don't like the minus 285, maybe a little two-legger to get some value back. But yeah, I don't know, man. How do you feel about what I said and about this fight?
So I agree with most of the breakdown for sure. I think I just reversed the odds a little bit and go 55-45 for Grishin, in fact.
Okay.
Simply because I've seen him fight at heavyweight, and it wasn't good, right? I mean, it was. Like, he put up a very valiant effort for being a guy that came to heavyweight at like 225. And it was simply that he was getting taken down and kind of drug around, held to the ground. Since he's made that move to 205, he seemed really good. I love his amount of fight experience. Now, that's obviously going to be a wash for the guy that has 20 professional fights, guy that has 50 professional fights. I mean, at that point, man, I mean, we're going to break down Alexei Oleinik, and he has, like, the most fights of all time. Like, he's literally a ghost in there, I guess. But, yeah, I have a...
Goat? No, ghost.
Ghost, yeah, ghost, yeah. 5 letters. Because he is disappearing on us. But... I think the reason I like Grishin is just the tough style he's going to present. I think this is a fight that probably goes the distance as well. So if I'm going to bet anything on this fight, I like the over if it's 1.5.
Like the over 1.5. All right, cool, man, for sure. And then, man, keeping it pushing is one of my favorite bets on the whole card, including the main card. We got Christoph Jocko fighting Brendan Allen, man, and pretty close money line. Jocko coming in at minus 120. Allen coming in at plus 100. So Vegas sees it as pretty much a coin flip. Man, I love me some Jocko, man.
Really?
I do.
Very much surprises me. He does have that southpaw advantage, and he does have I mean, their takedown accuracy, their takedown averages, even their significant strikes accuracy-wise are very similar. Brendan Allen's a little more active with the hands, but Jocko throws a lot more distance strikes, like the leg kicks, things like that, too. So
yeah, when Allen's last 2 wins were against cans, I think one was literally Sam Alvey, if I'm not mistaken, and like, and then the other one was the other guy we don't like, Jacob Malkoun. Like, literally are the 2 fighters that we shit on the most on this podcast, essentially. And so it's like, and then before that, when he was fighting more real guys, he was losing. And then Jocko, you look at his schedule, man. He's had a really tough schedule, fought some top guys. However, he's had a couple wins against them. Now, he's also had a couple losses, too. But he's had some better wins than Brendan Allen. And I think he's had better losses than Brendan Allen. I think
that's fair. That is
fair.
And
he's not that old. I think he's 31, 33 maybe, something like that. So we view him as kind of this older guy. And Allen is definitely the younger guy. But I don't think Jocko's old enough to, like, where age kind of factors in here. And like I said, Allen, I just seen this story before, man. The prospect that starts hot and reads a couple of his own headlines, takes some L's, wins some cans, finds himself somewhere in the middle. It's like, I don't know, man. I think Brendan Allen's like a cool guy. Like, I'm like, he's fun on Twitter. Like, I don't know, I like him. I love me some Jocko at minus 122. Because I'll be real, if I was handicapping this, I would have the number bigger for Jocko. But like I said, I really like Jocko. Like, this is one of my favorite bets of the fight. You can do this either way because of this number. You can include it in a parlay or a hella juicy parlay because it's minus 120. Or, I mean, minus 120 as a straight bet, and this is coming from a guy with a small bankroll. Like, that's still doable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think this fight, no matter which way you go with it, is Great fight to bet on. You know what I think the biggest thing for me with Brendan Allen lately or recently has been, I have his record pulled up, is that, I mean, he has a loss to Chris Curtis, to Sean Strickland, to Fluffy Hernandez, who looks, I mean, very good recently.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Anders, he has a loss in there. Those are both LFA losses, not UFC. And then he has a loss to Trevin Giles in his third fight in his career. So for me, I mean, you look at his 5 losses and you're like, well, these are killers. Maybe we should pump the brakes on it. But then I look at his past performances. What's that?
I don't know if I'd say killers. I'm not clear his back on that.
Yeah.
I'm not as big a fan of it. Look at Jocko, who he's fought against. I mean, it's some similar, like.
Yeah, so just losses. I mean, Jocko does also have the loss to Strickland. He has a loss to Uriah Hall, David Branch, Brad Tavares. But those are 3 in a row. And since then, he's 5-1 since then, with a win over Anders, a win over Marc-Andre Powerbar, Barrio, Misha Serkinov, Gerald Mearshart, like, and before that, you know, he had only lost to Magnus Sindenblad, who we don't even know, but that was a UFC fight. The guy was undefeated when he came to the UFC. All 5 of his losses are UFC losses. Yeah, you know, you might be right, man, especially after that last win over Mearshart. I think that's a more quality opponent than what Brendan Allen has been having to deal with in his own right, and he's looked bad recently. Yeah, I know he's been winning.
And Mearshart was like looking really good. Remember whenever he beat him, like he had kind of figured some things out, like strung together. I think 3 wins in between that fight and the Hamzat loss. So like, people don't need to roll their eyes at that Mearshart win. I'm kind of putting a lot of stock in that Mearshart win. I think I like that, especially when you juxtapose it against like the Malcoons and Sam Alveys of the world that Brendan Allen's over here fucking around with.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. You might have swayed me. When I looked at the odds initially, I thought Allen, the value was just way too nice. But it honestly makes sense when you dive in and you look at it. Yeah, I think this is...
Come on in, we'll sign the paperwork. You'll drive away today.
I'll drive away. I'll sign right now. I'll take Yatko. Like you said, good parlay builder. Maybe even a better straight at -125. Man, you put $20 on, you're seeing $18 come back to you roughly.
Yeah, I mean it's no different. Like if you pick a spread football game, you're getting -110. I mean it's a couple cents different. Yeah, for sure, man. And then keeping it pushing, man. This next fight is an abomination, and it shouldn't be on this card. This fight, I'm like really salty. I gotta like watch this and like gotta like pretend I'm excited about it.
Yeah, what the hell is this
fight? You guys
fight?
On the podcast.
It's
Joaquim Silva versus Jesse Ronson. I mean, -145 plus 125. I think you know where I'm going with this. My notes literally say no bet, both stink. Like,
yeah,
literally,
these
guys fucking stink. This fight fucking stinks. Like, you know what? Like, no, these guys are fighters. You know, they train hard, whatever. But this matchup fucking stinks. You can't put these 2 guys against each other. Like, why? Like maybe if these guys were fighting a Contender Series debut, or I don't know. There's a reason for it, right? But to see these 2 guys matched up, to me is kind of annoying. I'm not betting it. I'm not picking who wins. I mean, Vegas thinks that Silva will win, but
I think we're saying goodbye to Jesse Ronson here. I think both guys don't belong in the UFC, but I think Jesse Ronson for sure does not. And I remember, man, maybe 4 months ago, we had this arise where it was Alan Amadovsky and someone else who was fighting, and I said, neither of these guys are in the UFC. Just bet the under. They're both not to the skill level, which means they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to throw bombs at each other.
Oh, thank you for bringing that to the pod, man, because I was just like, this isn't salvageable. Like, I have like nothing nice to say. Betting the under and then giving a reason why. I like that. It's great take, honestly. I sold you on the last one. You might have sold me on this one. Can you look up that prop of what the under on this one is?
Absolutely can. So we're going through best fight odds. What betting should we go with? There is a 1 card tonight, by the way. I forgot about that, but there is a 1 card.
The one that's on Prime?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
cool.
It's Timofey Nastyukhin and Halil Amir as the main fight, which Nastyukhin is insanely sick. But back to the odds to this fight. We're looking at under 1.5, under 2.5. They don't offer... Caesars, DraftKings, and FanDuel do not offer a 1.5, so it has to be under 2.5. Has to be under 2.5. Now that is a -140, but I kind of like that so much more than any betting on either guy here.
Yeah, Yeah, honestly, but I think that lends to our strategy of like if you're scraping the barrel this much, like just
Yeah.
don't bet this one.
You're a
Just
degenerate
pay.
if you want to bet this fight.
I understand if you don't want to put money where we're telling you to put it, but at least trust us enough to not put it where we're telling you to not put it. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's not asking that much. And then up next we got Olenek versus Latifi. You know what? This is kind of like a bigger name value version of what we just talked about. But because of the name value, I'm here for it. Like, I'll watch it. Those other guys, it's like bad quality and bad name value. So it's like, literally, why am I watching this? Latifi, Olenek, I know who these guys are. You know, they've had some bright moments in their past. They're part of the history of the promotion. Like, I'll watch these guys fight with more respect than I just put on Silver Ronson.
For sure. I mean, these guys actually deserve to be the prelim main event just on name
Yeah,
value alone. And that's a perfect spot for
exactly.
these guys because Olenek has fought his way out of main cards. No offense to him, but he has. He has a record of 60, 16, and I think 3. Like 60, 16, and 1. Alir
That's honestly
Latifi,
a really good record.
it's great. And then Alir Latifi is looking at 16 and 8. And
Not as great.
yeah. And this fight's taking place at heavyweight, obviously, because Latifi has come up in weight. The dude's just super swole. He had the split decision win over Tanner Bozer. Before that, lost to Corey Anderson, Volkan Ozdemir, and Derek Lewis. Granted, obviously, 2 of those fights are 205. Derek Lewis was his introduction to heavyweight.
What a brutal introduction to
Yeah, I mean, Latifi does not get subbed all that much, which is about the only way Olenek wins fights.
I like the under here. I'm gonna say it. I don't know what it is. I haven't looked. I don't know what. You're probably not getting a ton of value.
Let's see. We got it right here. So now they are offering it for 1.5 or 2.5 at Caesars. Under 1.5 plus 100. Under 2.5 minus 190. So it sounds like Vegas is pretty confident this is gonna be an early third round finish or
So that
late
sounds like
second round.
if you have a sports book that offer does not go the distance, hammer it.
Yeah,
is
hammer
what that tells me.
Yeah.
No, a lot of the sports book I go to don't offer that, which sucks. But if you use one of these online ones with a million prop bets, hey, I would hammer that. Like I would even care if it's not good value. Like that's just free money.
I think based on those numbers, I mean, does not go distance and under 2.5 is minus 190. You're probably looking at minus 240 for doesn't go the distance, which I would take that.
Win your
With
free
these
$10.
guys,
Like seriously, like, whatever it is, like
yeah, with these guys, I would definitely take that. And Latifi, the stylistic matchup here, he's not going to be able to grapple and he can stand and grapple, but he knows he can't go to the ground, so he's going to avoid those situations, which is leading me to think it's going to be more of him trying to strike, Alexei Olenek trying to get a clinch battle going.
Yeah.
Someone's either Olenek's going to get knocked out or Latifi's going to get
to
submitted.
get subbed. Yeah, exactly. You know what though? Like from a value perspective, like if you're gun to my head, I have to play some money line bet. Give me Olenek plus money, man.
Yeah.
Like he has his path to victory. I question like hell. I think Olenek, even at his age, is more active than Latifi. Actually, I'm pretty sure I know that to be true for a
That's
fact. And
absolutely factual.
This kind of has like cash grab written all over it to me for Latifi. Like I think he's like retired, but like
still gets big names because he has a good name. Very famous gym, teammates of Gustafsson and those guys, Hamzat.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like I question, and I don't really have reason to question. I haven't seen any interviews or day-to-days or anything. This is just like where I view his career. I question what's Latifi here for? How hard did he train? Like, how seriously is he taking this? And
this guy's a paycheck. He's a paycheck magnet. So is Olenek, but in a different way. He just likes to fight. You can tell a guy that has 77 professional fights. He's really not fighting for money, I don't guess.
That's what I'm saying. Like he knows why he's there. He's probably doing the same training routine he's done for 30 years. Like it's gonna be. We know what we're gonna get from Olenek. We don't know what we're gonna get from Latifi. I think personally is how I view it. So yeah, man. I mean that wraps up the prelims. How you doing on time, bro?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Man. All right, sweet, man. But yeah, man. I mean, listen. I think there's bets to be won on those prelims. Like, I'm probably gonna place more money on the prelims than I do on the main card. I definitely feel stronger about my predictions on the prelims than I do my main card picks.
Well, the main card you get some weird matchups, man. The matchups are gonna be crazy.
Pointless. This main card is ass cheeks. Like, I'm cool with the main event. And that's where my nice things to say. And actually, the Castaneda fight might end up being kind of cool, but it's still like, not like the guys we care the most about, to be just honest. But but starting the main card off, starting the mid main card off with some mid fighters, we got Mike Davis versus Slava Claus. Harrison, famously not a big fan of Slava Claus, which I ride with my boy on that. I mean, he's probably one of the most boring, like, what skill are you bringing to the table besides knowing Uriah Faber, like, type boring. I don't know. I can't stand watching him fight. I definitely don't think he's going to win at all, which might lead you to believe, oh, so it sounds like you love Mike Davis, right? But no, pump the brakes, because like, these guys, I think he's fought twice since 2019.
Granted, he looks good when he fights. I do recall his last fight, which was against Mason Jones. Came out and got that unanimous decision. Now, granted, Mason Jones got cut from the UFC 2 weeks ago.
Did he really? Wow.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, he's only fought once since 2019, October 12, 2019. So literally 3 years. He's had one fight in the last 3 years. I don't love that. I don't love that.
How do you get that? Exactly, and he's minus 180. So, like, literally, like, I've never done this before. I put, like, 0.5 as my unit of confidence. Like, because, like, I mean, Mike Davis is the play here, right? Because, like, I really don't think betting on Slava Claus is, like, a good idea at all. Like, I really kind of don't respect his skill set, to be honest. But, however, betting on the guy that's fought once in 3 years and, like, is kind of mid himself, like, I don't know, man. Probably a no bet for me. But if you have to pick one, I mean, pick Mike Davis.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Is if you literally were going to, like, cut my hand off if I didn't make a pick, I would pick Mike Davis. I can't tell you that I'm right there, but I think that's like a 60-40 style of pick, which, I mean, at minus 180, it kind of justifies that bet, I will say, as a straight or even a parlay stacker, because I would actually say do not do a parlay with this.
Parlay ruin it.
Right, yeah, because Borshev does have good power and does strike a lot. Like, his activity level is crazy high. But Mike Davis is so well-rounded and smart when he fights. I mean, his nickname is Beast Boy, which is a silly name. Definitely the better athlete. And I think Borshev has trouble whenever dudes are pressed on him. If he doesn't have his little striking distance to play around with and have his fun with his spinning shit. Oh, we're throwing spinning shit, huh? But I don't love the danger he poses with his hands.
Yeah.
But I also think Mike Davis is, like I said, 6 out of 10 times he wins this fight pretty convincingly.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. And, we can keep it pushing, man, because this next one was interesting. Because I want to pull up real quick Castaneda's Tapology, because this is a fight that, going into it, I didn't feel too strongly one way or the other. And then after doing my research, man, I really like Castaneda in this one.
I do too, absolutely, man. I think the KO over Wineland, there's no stock in that. I do think his fight with Nathaniel Wood and how closely he fought Nathaniel Wood in that fight is a big deal.
How good he is.
Right. I think it's a big deal. And you
look
at
the Miles Chapo Johns win isn't like a horrible win. Like, that's a dangerous guy.
And he subbed him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like he just got out of there with like a sneaky decision. It was a pretty good performance. I think this guy's been putting on good performances. I don't love that he only fights once a year. I think that's kind of a problem. Now, granted, he's going to break that trend here. I mean, if I just had to, not even knee-jerk, man, give me Castaneda. I love the money line they gave him. I think minus 190 is kind of a steal.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him a little bit. So some books may even have it at minus 180. That'd be sweet if you could snag him at minus 180. That's definitely good value there. And yeah, I think he just fought higher level of competition. So the guy he's fighting is Daniel Santos, and Santos has had one fight in the UFC. It was a loss. Now it's to Julio Arce, which is a pretty decently tough debut. But he's 0-1 in the UFC, and then he's fighting local guys, before that, and has a loss in 2019 to a local guy. So, I don't know. I think Castaneda is going to be a little bit too much for him. I just personally believe that. Now,
I think
I just have
Castaneda's
one unit of confidence. Like I said, I'm not saying bet the house on it, but 180 juice is a parlay, though.
I think this is a big fight IQ fight. So, what I mean when I say that is that Castaneda fights very smart, and Daniel Santos does not. That's just not the shoot the box way. They love to get in there, brawl, show their toughness, essentially kind of get you to the point where you want to grapple, because most of those guys that shoot a box can grapple extremely well. It's Brazilian camp, of course. I don't love that, though, for Santos in this fight, because Castaneda is such a smart, well-rounded fighter. He's kind of like a bigger Jonathan Martinez when I watch him fight.
Yeah, wow. It's like I thought that without even knowing that I was thinking. I completely agree. That was a great comparison you made. I love that comparison, man. But yeah, I like me some Castaneda. I'll probably put it in a parlay. I probably will.
Yeah, I think he's lovely for a parlay. Minus 190 means you're going to get good returns on him. And he's second fight on the main card, which for him is an elevation in where he has been fighting. But I don't know that his level of competition has been elevated, which I think is a big point for him, right? Is that not necessarily fighting a tougher guy than Julio Arce. Or I'm sorry, not necessarily fighting a tougher guy than like Nathaniel Wood or Miles Johns, is what I mean to say.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. I think, I like it, man. And we can keep it pushing, because I'm about to burn the fucking house down with some hot takes here.
Well, let's go.
Fucking strap up.
Sadiq Yusuf minus 900 fighting his stand-in opponent Don Shanis, who's 3 inches shorter, has a 5-inch reach disadvantage, and is plus 600 coming in on slightly short notice.
Man, I think Sadiq Yusuf's overrated. I'm going to start this whole conversation with that backdrop.
Overrated because minus 900 is ridiculous, or overrated in the sense you think he could lose? Do you think he could lose this fight?
I think he could lose this fight.
Okay, well.
They said I'm about to burn the house down. And here I was doing my research on this fight. I mean, so Sadiq Yusuf, he has a beautiful ranking, right? He's 11, 12. I mean, right outside the top 10, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, so his last 3 is a win, and this is since 2020. You know, that's usually about what we like to include when we don't like to dig too far back into ancient history. So from 2020, he has a win over Andre Fili. Good win, not a great win. Good win, not a great win.
Especially when you see Fili now versus then, because Fili apparently takes it a lot more seriously now.
Exactly. And then lost to Arnold Allen. Understandable. Super high level of competition. We view as a guy that could potentially be a future champ. So
that's a dog.
No shame on it, but an L. But yeah, to an absolute dog. And then his last win over Alex Caceres. We're always trying to feed Alex Caceres to people. He's another guy good, not great, kind of mid. Like, we want all of our favorite featherweights to get matched up with Alex Caceres for a reason. So it's like, I think Caceres was had a number next to his name whenever Yusuf beat him, if I'm not mistaken. So that's how Yusuf got his ranking. And like I said, in a division as deep as featherweight, with all the killers, all the prospects, all the top guys, for Sadiq Yusuf is not the 12th best featherweight. He's just not. I don't believe he is. So like I said, that's the premise for this conversation. Now, the guy he's fighting, just some local Joe Rocky Balboa, right? Well, I mean, not so fast. I was looking it up. The guy's a vet. He's 31 or 32 years old. He's not some young kid. He's on a 5 or 6 fight winning streak, I believe, and I think 4 of those are first round knockouts. He's on a 4 first round knockout spree.
3. He has a decision before that, and then he actually retired a guy before that. TKO'd him. The guy retired.
So, I mean, the guy's dangerous.
Holy shit. D-Mac, do you know that he's fought February 5th, 2022, April 2nd, 2022, May 5th, 2022, June 4th, 2022? This dude's super active.
This guy's a dog. Doesn't he sound like a dog?
Dog.
He's a dog. And actually a dog, plus 675. Literally, if you put $3 on it, you can win back, what is that, close to 20? Seriously, now,
this might be the straight bet to throw 5 on.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like I said, call me a crazy man, call it hot takery. I think that this guy's a dog. And I think that Sadiq Yusuf is overrated. It's like, so you got to think, what skill set is overwhelmingly impressive that Yusuf brings to the table? He's an athletic guy. He has some power. But
Athleticism.
Like,
that's his number one trait by far.
And
that's not a skill.
He likes to get into firefights and get first round kick. Like, I'm saying, he may have found like the right/wrong opponent, and like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I could see this being one of them things. Now, I guess I get the, comfortable. If I'm wrong, I'm like, well, he was plus 675. What can you do?
Yeah.
But I'm saying, out of all the plus 675s, I kind of like this one. Now, like, that's kind of like a weird take, but
honestly,
I don't hate it.
After you brought it up, his activity level alone puts me on where I'm like, well, these odds are already crazy. Even if he loses the fight, these odds are crazy because a guy that's that active, that's been getting KOs in the first round 3 fights in a row and has had 4 fights in a 5-month window, I do not want to bet against that guy.
Well, and then I also, so for all the reasons we just listed, I also love the under. I don't know what that's at, but the under in this makes a lot of sense to me because I think that if Yusuf is to win, he probably catches the wild young, not young, but great, like the new guy, for lack of better terms, coming in crazy, and Yusuf's strong enough to put out a lot of featherweight. So I think either way, even if Yusuf does win, and Vegas, I mean, if you're minus 900, Vegas expects a finish, right? So I mean, I think the under is like pretty clear as day.
Well, check this out: under 2.5, minus 160 currently.
I think that's phenomenal value, and you don't hear me. I'm a cheap bastard. You don't hear me say phenomenal value about minus 160 that often. I think that's great money. I might literally want to go get in on that.
I will also say that late replacement fighters typically do not go to decisions. They almost always either get the finish or get finished. And especially that's how this guy fights anyway. Right, exactly. Like he wants the dogfight.
Well, you just mentioned he fights every month, so like he's not like this guy like has training. Like this guy, I mean, this is not even short notice for him. This is just what this guy does.
Yeah, well, and I also was thinking, man, with the way commissions work, even in LFA, it's still going to be if you took pretty big damage, they're going to sit you out 2 to 4 weeks. So for him to be able to fight month to month to month means he's not getting any damage done to him, and he's getting these
100%.
Wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
man. Like I said, I was here to burn the house down, man. Xiaonan might get the fucking job done and cash us all out. I'm a sprinkle. I'm gonna fucking do the Yanni sprinkle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
So worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it, man. On a straight bet, I mean, you're talking $5 turns into 30. That's like, what are we doing? We do parlays that are 3 picks deep that we can't get that value on.
That's what I'm saying, 100%. And those usually fucking bust.
Right.
Minus 300 loses. So trust me, I've got enough parlay busted with minus 300 losing to know it's not crazy to bet a plus 675. Now we can keep it pushing if you want. We got Barcelos versus Jones up next?
Yeah, Xiaonan Barcelos at currently minus 240 versus Trevin Jones at plus 200. Trevin Jones is the dude from Guam with the super high-pitched voice. For anyone that's like wondering who he is, if you can think of a super high-pitched voice that doesn't fit a fighter, he also sounds like he should be from Mexico with his like accent. He makes no sense to me. I guess Guam and Mexico aren't like necessarily too far apart.
Isn't his record like 12-8, just the saltiest record of all
13-8. Yeah, it's very salty.
So, honestly, talk about salty. I'm salty that this fight is as high on the card as it is. This fight, honestly, like it may end up being fun in the kind of like casual sense of the word. They go out there and beat each other up. But this fight stinks, dude. Like, this fight, I don't want to watch these guys fight each other. Like, I don't understand the point of it. Like, what does the winner get? That being said, I'd pick Barcelos, but it's minus 230. You're not getting value. I say this is a no bet, or no bet, because you definitely can't bet on Jones. In my opinion, if you bet on Jones, you just hate money.
You just be throwing, like, hope to the wind. You know what I'm saying? Hoping it catches a drift. Because when you look at Trevin Jones, he's 4 fights in the UFC, 2 losses, which means and 1 win, which means they brought him in at 12-6, which is crazy to me. He has I mean, not even good losses necessarily, right?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I mean, Said Yokub Kakramanov submitted him at the very end of their fight. I do love Kakramanov.
Yeah, Kakramanov's a good fighter.
And Javid Basharat, we just broke down his brother's fight 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but Basharat's good. Basharat can fight.
Right. So I'm saying his last 2 losses, I don't put the most stock in. But when I go to Xiaonan Barcelos' record, and I just think about his fighting style, I will say he's going to have trouble with the minus 3-inch reach advantage or disadvantage. That's going to be tough for him. He does have the majority decision loss to Timur Valiev as well, but he does have wins over like Khalid Taha, Said Nurmagomedov. His loss to Victor Henry was alarming. I will say that.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, bro. This fight stinks. Like, both of these guys are, like, daubered down. Like, I really don't. I wouldn't bet on either one of these guys. Especially, that's what I'm saying. I pick Barcelos. Like, on verdict, I'm going to pick him because it's free. But, like, as far as putting my money on him at minus 230 and buying that minus 230 horrendous value on Barcelos, like, there's no chance.
Yeah, this is a fight to stay the hell away from.
This is a no bet, which, I mean, we're talking about the third fight down, like, this is the featured match. This fucking fight stinks.
And it's not a no bet because we couldn't see a path to victory, or that it's a no bet because it's not going to be a fight that anyone can understand why what happens, if that makes sense. Like, there's not going to be no rhyme or reason for Trevin Jones at 13-8 to be fighting this guy at 16-3, and they're both close to the same skill level, but they both have paths to victory and paths to losing.
Whatever you were going to bet on this fight, go to the slot machine or the roulette table instead. Like, just...
Or put it on Xiaonan.
Yeah, seriously. Hey, if we're gonna look like the smartest guys to ever walk the planet next week,
I mean, his nickname is Shameless. Don Shameless Shanus. Like, that's it. I like the guy. Well,
I'm going for it, man. But up next, man, this is another fight that kind of fucking stinks, but at the same time, I also think is a slam dunk parlay builder. I really do.
This is one of those fights that, breaking down now ahead of time, I'm just going to take Randy Brown and just slam dunk it through the fucking floor. But
yeah, minus 325, but put it in a parlay. I mean, the guy he's fighting is 44 years old and is, like, pretty mid. I mean, Randy Brown... See, now, actually, Randy Brown's new nickname. He's no longer the rude boy. He's the king of mid.
King of mid.
Brown, every time he fights a mid fighter...
He dominates. Phenomenal. Looks great. Anytime he gets any upper echelon, he falls short.
It's the bed. I mean, so I view Ronaldo as mid. He's not only mid, but he's 44-year-old mid.
He's also 6 inches shorter and 8 inches shorter arm reach. So
I mean, I think this is slam dunk.
Right.
If you can same game parlay it with the under, probably would. Like I said, I mean, I hate this fight from, like, I hate that it's the co-main. I hate that Randy Brown gets this weird unnecessary push as the king of mid. And but I do love it as a parlay builder. Like, I think this and Costa and something else to add a little value in Jocko probably. I'll probably do a Brown Costa Jocko 3-legger. And cross my fingers.
And then if there's one you're sketch on, you can make another 3-leg with the 2 you like the most, and put Castaneda in place of that tertiary leg that you might not have liked as much too, because Castaneda's still going to get you good value.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do the Shanus sprinkle, and then actually we'll get to it. We haven't even got to the main event yet, and I think that there's a solid parlay builder. Like, I feel strongly about the main event, which unfortunately sucks because that makes me less excited to watch this main event, and that's not what I need. I needed all the help I could get in that department. But we got Xiaonan versus Mackenzie Dern. This fight's very important for the division. This is one of those where if Dern wins this, she could easily be the #1 contender, especially in this division, strawweight. It's kind of up for grabs. Like, it has a champion that nobody respects. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like.
Well, those girls did that to each other in the fight they put on.
Oh, that fight was horrendous.
Literally one of the worst fights I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely. And so I'm just going to say it. I think Dern wins, like, pretty easily.
Really?
Yeah, dude. And I was...
By submission?
Submission or just like winning rounds on top. Yeah, I mean, Xiaonan is not good off her back. I mean, Dern's probably the best grappler in the division. I'm not over here doing rocket science on the level of competition. Like, if you look at Xiaonan's wins, they aren't great. I mean, they were the Angela Hills of the world, and you know what I mean, and like, and Dern's wins are way more impressive. Dern's level of competition way higher. I mean, Xiaonan's on a 2L streak. She gets a weird pass. Like, she doesn't get talked about like she's on a 2L streak. She gets talked about like, oh, this might be a #1 contender. And I mean, that's cool. Like, she definitely has a skill set. I like that people respect her. Like, this fight's dope. That's what got her in the main event. But she is, in fact, indeed, on a 2L streak. Nobody talks about it. I'll say it.
Yeah, she hasn't had a win since November 7th, 2020 against Kalojica Delia, who I literally have gone on to the end of my life about how I don't think she belongs in the UFC. She has the TKO loss to Carlos Esparza, the split decision loss to Marina Rodriguez. More recently,
TKO'd by Carlos Esparza.
Yeah, imagine not getting submitted by her. Like, that's crazy. That does also make me think that, is she good at avoiding submission style fighting? And if so, that's gonna be a problem for Dern.
But I think Dern's higher level than all those girls.
Me too, by a lot.
Like, people like to clown Dern. I don't think Dern has a lot of fans out there. Yeah, I don't see a lot of people saying a lot of nice things about Dern, but like, her jiu-jitsu compared to every single other girl in the division, I think is.
Oh, it's the best for sure.
Best.
I fully agree with you there. I think what's crazy, man, is that Vegas has under 4.5 rounds right now, sitting at -180, over 4.5 rounds at +140. Which I kind of get, but...
Yeah, I think Dern finishes it, dude. I really do.
But Dern is -110 to win by submission.
Like, oh, yeah. That seems to be kind of contradictory, right? So they think she's gonna TKO her? Yeah, I'll take the sub. The subs are rare. That's the thing. Subs are rare. Like, we don't think of it as rare. We think these people get subbed all the time. But subs are actually kind of rare. I mean...
Well,
you think about it.
Definitely. I think it's hilarious, though, too, that Dern to win by KO, TKO, plus 1,100. Xiaonan to win by submission, plus 2,600. It's very...
Plus 1,100 is juicy for the Yanni sprinkle.
It's not bad. I mean, if you think about like her just ground and pounding her out after getting in full mount.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. After mounting her for 4 rounds and just
right.
like...
And just...
Just getting her out of there.
Right, and I think Dr. Stoppage is TKO too if somehow she breaks her arm or like hurts her leg or something like that. Like, there's other ways where the submission might get locked, she doesn't tap, and boom, bing, bam, boom, Doctor stops it.
Which counts as TKO. Great point. The plus 1,100 sprinkle though.
Honestly though, too. No, that one's not good. I was going to try and talk my way into the Yan Xiaonan plus 2,600 submission sprinkle, but I just can't. That's
too much sprinkle.
Even if she rocks her so bad that she drops her and gets her back, I think Dern still could defend that choke, even in like
her going for the sub would lead to her fucking the fight off.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm with you. I like Dern in that fight, and I do like her by submission. It's better odds anyway, so you might as well take the -110 submission finish. You get it for 25 minutes long. These girls aren't going to fight 25 minutes, I don't think.
I don't think, man. I don't think so either, man. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, real talk. My parlay that I actually go bet on is probably going to be Dern, Braun, and Costa, and then I think I'm going to do a Jock go straight bet. And I may fuck around and do a stupid-ass little 2-legger with Linz and Olynyk that probably won't hit, that will, like, beat.
I like the Linz Olynyk fight. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, I kind of want to watch that fight. Like, it's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, like 2 separate fights, right? Like Linz.
Yeah, like, I'm going to say Olynyk. Olynyk and
Latifi.
Latifi. That's the one I think is going to be so much fun. I do think that Linz and Grisham?
Yes.
Right. I think that's a fun fight, but I think it's a lot less fun than Olynyk and Latifi.
I don't know. I think Olynyk Latifi is going to be like, it's going to be fun because we know what it is, but right. I think it's going to be like ugly, like slow and like.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. For me, like I guess it is like a reality expectation thing, right? Like my expectation is probably what the reality of that fight is, so I'm going to enjoy the shit out of it. As far as the Linz fight goes, I don't know that what I expect will be the reality, so it'll be more surprising. but it won't be as much of an easy fight to just bet on like, oh yeah, easy entertainment by matchup standards.
And I can't forget the fucking shameless Shanus sprinkle. The shameless Shanus sprinkle is
That could be the call of the week. That could be the call of the week. Like, if you think about it, if you can call that straight fight at plus 600, Yanni, where you at? Come find us. Tell us your picks are better because they're not.
Come holler for your next sprinkle advice. But yeah, man, this was a lot of fun, bro. And then, you got any time for a little football talk?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I'm gonna go grab some water real quick. I'll be right back.
Awesome. So, I'll give an introduction of how I plan to navigate us through this college football weekend. There are 5 games that feature 2 ranked opponents on either side. We'll probably just go Power 5 conferences here. I think it's going to be like 20 games. Probably not going to break down every game. Might just get quick picks on some. Probably pass on a lot of them, honestly. We'll start with the SEC because it's, by everyone else on the face of the earth standards, the best conference in football. I would push back on that. It's very top-heavy. It's been very top-heavy since probably 2014. Alabama, LSU, teams like that have carried the SEC as far as how people revere that conference for being so strong. I'm just talking about how the SEC is top-heavy. We'll probably start there. But it's super top-heavy. It has been for 8 years, 9 years maybe, where there's 3, 4 good teams every year, but the other teams are so bad.
Yeah, and in fairness, though, isn't that every conference, though? Isn't that that's college football. Like, that's every conference. I mean, there will be years where there's exceptions to that rule, but, I mean, what OU's dominated the Big 12, I mean, what Oregon, USC, and the Pac-12.
I think the Big 10 is the conference that has the least amount of top-heavy.
No, Ohio State's the heaviest of all tops.
Yeah, but Michigan beat them last year and was the better team. And they always have other teams.
That was like one out of the last 12 years.
Well, Iowa won the Big 10. 2017.
Is that when Kittle was in?
Yeah, that was the year they were 12-0.
Oh, sick. Yeah, no, shout out. Iowa got them dogs. No, I like Iowa. You're right. Iowa's good.
Each conference has a juggernaut. I would never argue that. But I'm saying, like as far as parity, bottom to top, usually the bottom 3 SEC schools are so fucking bad, man.
Well, and the Big Ten did that weird shit where they added Rutgers, right?
Oh, they're 16 teams strong, even though it's the Big Ten.
Yeah, so see, that's where I'll push back because they're not deep. They got 8 schools at the bottom that are fucking stink. So
okay, perfect. So let's dive into it. This is tremendous, man. Honestly, because Georgia, Missouri, I don't even want to waste time with it. It's a 29-point spread over under 54. I would say under, safer bet there. Now I will say,
I say stay away from that. It seems like a nightmare. Unless you just want to money line it, I bet it has an absolutely gross money line. But if you want to parlay build a money line,
money line for Missouri is plus 1,900 or minus 5,400 for Georgia.
Never mind. Yeah, I mean that tells you though. That tells you all you need to know. You're not gonna beat Vegas on that.
No, you can't. They won't let you because they just know Georgia's a juggernaut. I mean, I like them against most college football teams, let alone a team that's unranked and not good, and is literally threatening to fire their head coach if he doesn't win this game or at least play it not win, but play it close.
Missouri's been horrible lately. I mean, think about when we were kids growing up. Missouri was always a tough, scary game for OU back when they were.
I know it. They went to the SEC and just fell off. Same with Nebraska in the Big 10, fell off. Colorado in the Pac-12, fell off.
Fell off the hardest. Jesus.
So yeah, it's the Big 12 teams that left. That's a 30 for 30.
A&M too, weak asses.
Here is one I love in the SEC. There's only 4 SEC matchups this week. The next 3 games are actually going to be important. Auburn, LSU. LSU has been very surprising this year. They're much better than people gave them credit for going into the year. They do have the loss to Florida State. Florida State is now ranked, in Florida State, I will say it. I'll say it. It's week 4. I'll say it. They're back.
You've been loving you some Florida State.
I do, man. And I also love LSU in this game. LSU is -8. I think they win comfortably 10 points or more.
What's the money line?
So money line on LSU is -325 just to win. Auburn's +250. I honestly don't even like that for Auburn as far as a money line or even the spread.
So think about that. Juxtapose that money line. So you're telling me there's a 3.5 to 1 favorite to win, and you only think that they're going to win by 8 points. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think LSU either money line parlay or if you want to eat the 8 points, I think you probably could feel pretty good sleep at night.
Right. I think you could lay the 8 for LSU. And we'll keep it. We'll go through these a little faster. Now the next one, I want to throw all the money I own on this, but I don't know why I feel this way. Over under for A&M Mississippi State. A&M is number 17. Mississippi State unranked. A&M is +4. You're getting 4 points with A&M. They are going to Mississippi State. It is a 3 p.m. kick. I think weather's good. A&M +160 on the money line just to win outright. Give me that.
Yeah, because A&M is, see, this is a weird one, because A&M always has like a talent-loaded roster, like ton of 5 stars every year.
They have the number 1 recruiting class right now for next year.
And then they always choke in big games. However, this is not a big game. However, I view Mississippi State as like the Texas Tech or Kansas State of the SEC.
They are.
It's when schools go there, weird shit happens and bad things happen to like good teams. Like it's a weird place to play. Like I don't know why. I know why Texas Tech. Like I'm more familiar with this part of the country, but that like every year when OU goes to either Kansas State or Texas Tech, my butthole gets tight because like weird shit happens down there. And I feel like that's kind of the situation here at Mississippi State. However, getting the plus money on the school with the roster that's exceedingly more talented, I think is smart, and I understand why you love it so much.
And I even think moneyline is great there too, man. Because the +4.
Think about it. If these teams were playing on a video game, this would be like an 84 versus like a 77 overall. You know what I mean?
And it's really going to come down to Mississippi State now runs an air raid offense. Their quarterback's name is Will Rogers, so lives in the air. That's hilarious. But I just don't see Mississippi State holding with A&M. And I know A&M got the lucky win last week against Arkansas. That was a big deal for them. Should probably be 2-2 because if they play in a college stadium, then that field goal goes through because it hit the upright. Or even if it's a lower upright, because in the NFL, I didn't realize this, uprights are 5 feet taller. So the kick last week hit the top of the left upright for Arkansas, which serendipitous because Jerry Jones went to Arkansas, hosted the game in his stadium, and sees his team lose because he didn't put college uprights in. I thought that was great serendipity.
That's wild.
But I love A&M here. Give me A&M.
I say the money line over the spread because if you get the points, if you think they're going to win outright,
I do.
You're only getting -110 as opposed to +130, +160,
+160, yeah.
+160. So yeah, I think money line over spread all day.
I'm with you there. I think the over/under 47. I would not touch it. I have no idea how that game goes because it could go huge. A&M's defense is very good. It could go small. So one more matchup in the SEC. It's going to be the ranked opponents, which are Alabama, Arkansas. This is going to be a marquee game. This is the CBS 2:30 kick. It is over/under 61. I love the over. Arkansas's +17 on the spread.
I think that number is perfect because I cannot make up my fucking mind.
I
think
can't
that
either.
number is perfect. Like, I think Bama's going to win.
Yeah.
But 17 is a lot of points. And everybody's saying Arkansas is like, really fucking good this year. But like, what does really fucking good look like compared to Bama? Like, you can be really fucking good and lose by 3 touchdowns. Like, I'm going back and forth.
Yeah.
And I already know the money line's got to be absurd. Probably not as, and it has to be not even worth looking at.
Money line, Arkansas +545 to win outright. Alabama -725 to win outright.
I will say, and I'm a scumbag, but I have put -700s in parlays before. I've done it. I've done it. I'm not saying I'd recommend it to anyone else, but I've done it. However,
there is one more SEC matchup I forgot, but we'll gloss over it real quick.
Dude,
but
I mean, obviously, I don't know, bro. I'm stuck. I'm not touching the spread. Do you have an opinion on that? Because I'm not touching it. Like I said, I probably don't bet it. If I do, it's a -700 in the parlay.
If I'm going to bet this game, I'm just going to bet over 61 total points. I think that's the only way I could go with this.
Does that just get you -110 back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go.
I hate over-unders. People love football over-unders. To me, it's such a big gamble until like not getting great value. I mean, it's not horrible value. It's just like mid-value for, I feel like really going out on a limb, like predicting how many points are scored in a football game. Like, how the fuck would I know? Like, predicting who wins to me makes a lot more sense, or even how much they win by. But people love them some football over-unders. I think even basketball over-unders make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's a high-scoring team, low-scoring team. But football is really, really sporadic, and a lot of things can happen, and the weather, and the blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I've been a part of low-scoring football games and high-scoring football games, all with the same group of guys on the same team running the same offense and the same defense. I'm not real big on the over-unders. I know people are, though. People love football over-unders. I'm personally just not there. Like, that game, even like fight over-unders make a lot more sense. Like, does it go the distance? Does it not? Start from there, work backwards. But like, football over-unders, man, like, how do you get there? I mean, yeah, you can just look at general, like, oh, this team averages 25 and this team averages 21. You add it together. But, like,
right.
Hey, good luck with that.
So, last game in the SEC before we wrap up what people consider the best conference, which I will push back hard against, is going to be number 14 Ole Miss against number 7 Kentucky. They are at Ole Miss. This game is weird to me. Kentucky is a +7 underdog. And I honestly think, like, Ole Miss scores points in bunches. But after last week's second half that I saw them put up against Tulsa, who does not have a good defense, they scored 0 points in the second half. They won the game 35-27, but gave up 14 in the second half. And we're dominating in the first half, and I love the over in that because Tulsa has a top 5 passing offense this year. So I thought, oh, this is going to be an over easy. Ole Miss couldn't score in the second half. I'm out on Ole Miss. Give me Kentucky plus the 7.
Well, so I don't know that much about either of these teams, but what I do know, I'm real big on the NFL draft. I love it. I get excited for it every year. And like, they've been talking about this Kentucky quarterback since like last year's draft.
Is that Levis?
I forget his name. I know the quarterback for Kentucky is like a top 3 NFL draft pick next year. Like, everybody's like, he's a top guy. So that's what I'm saying. You're telling me you're getting plus money on the top quarterback, top 3 quarterback in football, pro prospect. I like it from that perspective because I'll be real, I don't know a ton about the teams as a whole.
I will also say ESPN Plus does give you a consensus bet center, which is what I've been showing for people on YouTube if they're wondering what that is, called Pick Center, where it gives like number fire and team rankings. They do 1,000 simulations of every game and then post the average scores and finish and stuff like that.
That's dope.
It's gross how close Vegas is on almost every line. It's that already needs to be said because the over-under this is 54. They project the game to be 24-31 in final score, which would be a 7-point spread and be 55 points. So, like, that's gross. They project Ole Miss to win, but the spread consensus pick, if you're going to go in spread, says Kentucky covers the spread 68%, or 680 games out of 1,000. Give me Kentucky.
I like Kentucky on the spread more than the money line, though, I will say. Because winning it in a place like Ole Miss, that's a big old stadium, passionate fan base. I mean, it's going to be rowdy.
And I could easily see Ole Miss winning on a late field goal or opposite for Kentucky, but that's not going to be a cover for Ole Miss either way. So I love the Kentucky plus points.
Me too. That's the pick.
Sweet. Let's go to Big 12. Let's hit a couple of these matchups. Obviously, we got to talk about OU TCU. Yeah, exactly, right? Spread right now keeps going down. Opened up at OU -7.5, now down to -5.5.
Yeah, I'm sure people aren't that high on OU after their performance. But me, being a lifelong OU fan, they're not losing 2 in a row. They're not losing to K-State and TCU back-to-back weeks. Like, that's not scientific. That's not analytics. Like, trust me, I've been watching this football team my entire goddamn life, and
back-to-back losses just don't really happen.
It just doesn't happen. Is it at TCU, you said?
It is, yeah.
OU's done usually good at TCU. Now, TCU at OU has been some trouble, but OU usually does good down at Fort Worth. It's a short drive, even shorter flight if they fly. Easy travel, easy work, I'm going to say.
I agree with
you.
The
money. What's the money line?
Money line is OU -210. I like that. I like us to cover the spread even still, 5.5.
Yeah, I like the 5.5.
Over-under has been climbing, too, which it's already up to 69. It opened at 62.
69.
I kind of love the under 69, though, because I think OU's defense comes out and makes a statement because they gave it 41.
OU's offense
yeah.
can be mid at times.
Yes, agreed. And I think it's going to be a defensively reliant game for us, which is all good because TCU's offense and defense are pretty 50-50 back and forth. They're balanced, whereas we're much more of a defensive team this year. I say we because big OU fan, right? So I'll take OU to cover that. One I love. Kansas at home against Iowa State is +3.
You just love you some Kansas,
dude. This Kansas quarterback, quarterback should be in the talks for the Heisman right now. This guy is insane. He's a guy.
Got a guy.
Yes.
That's dope. I'm happy for them. They haven't had a guy. Goddamn, a long time.
I know, and
they went to that Orange Bowl when we were like in 6th grade.
And they have this new coach from Buffalo, Leipold, who he's completely revolutionized the way that their offense and defense operates, and it seems like the guys are inspired to play.
Good for Kansas. Oh yeah, you're a lineman, so you never went to the Kansas 7-on-7. We went to 7-on-7 up there. So hey, I'll be real. That stadium fucking stinks. Their stadium, worst goddamn college. It was horrible. It was crumbling apart.
Yeah, but they have Fog Allen, the basketball, top 3 basketball court anywhere.
But they're indoor facilities and cafeteria. All that shit was top of the line. Weight room, all that shit was dope. But their actual stadium they play in is dog shit. So I just wanted to.
Weird to think that's paid for by KU basketball, not by KU football. You know what I mean? Every sport in Norman is paid for by football, but in Kansas it's paid for by basketball.
And they're like, yeah, fuck you guys. Yeah, no, that's a weird dynamic. Yeah, that stadium. I mean, granted, I saw it 10 years ago. Maybe that's been upgraded, repaired, whatever. Hopefully, because that thing was ugly. But anyway, keep it pushing.
Texas, West Virginia. I don't want to waste time. Texas Tech, Kansas State.
Actually, my bad. I said keep it pushing. I just started talking shit before we even really talked the bet. Well, what was the spread in the money line?
So Kansas +3 or +130 on the money line. And I think they went out right. I think they're at home. I think they went out right. I think Iowa State's being oversold. They don't have a good run game. They have one good receiver. That kid's going to be a baller, Hutchinson.
Well, I know they're replacing their quarterback because their quarterback from last year is on the Niners. So I know for a fact they have a new quarterback.
Yep. Purdy's gone. I love Matt Campbell.
Kansas's quarterback's a guy.
He definitely is a guy. Definitely is a guy.
Plus money at home. I'll be real. I will never fucking put a dime of my money on Kansas football, but I love how much you like this year's Kansas team, and it's fun, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Man, I guess I'm a Jayhawk at heart now, man.
This fucking hooper.
So we'll pass on Kansas State Tech. I don't think that's a game anyone wants to hear about for the most part.
No, unless they're playing OU, they fucking stink. But when those two teams play OU, they fucking just have the game of their life.
Seriously, and when Texas Tech plays Texas, they have the game of their life every time, which was last week for both teams. So the most important match for the Big 12 this week is actually going to be Baylor and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State comes in at number 9.
How does OSU look this year? I don't know too much about this year's OSU team.
So their quarterback made a very important evolution in his game. He can pass now. Super good athlete. He's
he sucked last year, right?
He's like a mini Jalen Hurts is exactly how I see Spencer Sanders.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy to think. Now, I do think Oklahoma State's defense is suffering this year. They lost their D coordinator to Ohio State, and Ohio State's defense looks great this year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, and their defense last year was baller. I mean, you see, I don't know if you watch Hard Knocks, but the middle or the will linebacker that's starting for the Lions this year is Blake Rodriguez. They call him Rodrigo. Yeah. He's a beast, man. He was a consensus All-American last year, 6th round pick because he played at OSU.
Yeah, people don't respect that OSU defense. They really don't.
They get no respect.
Except for that one corner that one year that went really high and was a bust, and everybody's like, see, we goddamn knew it.
We knew it. We fucking knew it. Or Emmanuel Ogbah was good when he got drafted and then got traded for his 6th round pick after his 3rd year in the league. That's tough. Anyway, the thing that catches my eye here, Oklahoma State's +2.5. I do like Baylor. I do think their defense is very strong.
Because last week you loved Baylor. So what is it? Just a matchup thing? Because last week you had a hard on for Baylor. Is it just the value you liked? What's the?
It's. I think Iowa State was overrated. I thought Baylor's underrated from their loss to BYU. I think them beating Iowa State the way they did last week is helping Vegas realize we were underrating this team. So now they're overcorrecting and making Baylor the favorite. Granted, they are at home, but I do like OSU to win this game outright. The outright bet is going to be a plus
one.
Is
it at home? Is it at Stillwater?
No, it's in Baylor.
Ooh,
so it is
good at home.
I know they are.
Good at home.
I know they are. That stadium paid for by Art Briles and all the rapes.
Almost ruined my new laptop, bro.
Sorry, man. I had to get you in the middle of the water. As far as money lines go, I don't even want to play with the spread on this because I think picking the winner is easier in a plus 2.5 game. I don't think it's, if that makes sense. In the NFL, I wouldn't say that because games are so close always. In college, they're usually not this close, right?
I feel you. Yeah. So I think the overtime rules kind of.
Exactly. So I think Oklahoma State plus the because if you win in overtime, you win by 3 or more. That's pretty much a lock.
Yeah.
And I could see this being an overtime game for sure. I could also see this being over on the point total. Point total is 55. State's defense not as good as it was. Baylor's defense still strong, but have a good offense. I really love the over here, and I also love OSU plus 115. If I was going to do the same game, it's OSU to win and go over.
Ooh, I know I just talked all that shit about football over unders, but I could easily see that being over. Just like the style, like those two schools, like that style of play.
I mean, hell, if Iowa State's offense could get 21, I think OSU's offense can get 40.
That's what I'm saying, 35, 40, and then the numbers at 55. So it's
right, and I think Baylor gets 28. So if I'm thinking it's like 34-28, I'm already over there, and that's more of a low end score prediction.
That's what I'm saying. This game could easily be in the 40s. This total could hit 70, 80 easily.
Right, exactly right. I think the over's almost a cash money bet. I might send you that on my list this week. So anyway, what do you want to go? Big Ten, ACC, or Pac-12?
Big Ten. I feel like I might know a little bit more about those schools.
So
Pac-12, either way.
Illinois, Wisconsin. Don't waste your time. That game is very unimportant, I think, to most people.
Yeah, because Illinois stinks, and I think Wisconsin stinks too. I'm basing this on a small sample size. I watched one of their games, and their quarterback fucking stinks.
Yeah, Graham Mertz, which I always just call him Grammertz. Just make his name one name because his name ends in the same syllable his last name starts with. That's hilarious to me. But
that guy can't throw a ball.
There are no ranked matchups, so ranked versus ranked in the Big Ten this week. But what I think the two biggest
hit the big boys. Hit the big boys.
Yeah, so there's two. Ohio State, don't even go near it. They're plus 40 right now against Rutgers. Over under 58.
As they should be.
I kind of
like the 40 points.
Jesus Christ.
No, not for Rutgers. I'm saying I'll eat it.
Oh yeah, no. The way I see this game is probably I could see it being 52-10 as far as final score. Which I mean, Ohio State then covers by 2. Over under's 58, so they'd cover the over. But that's so close, man, that I would just stay away from it.
Sure. I'll trust you on that.
I think I have 2 locks in the Big Ten this week, which are going to be the 2 other big dogs, right? So Ohio State's number 3. We'll push to number 4, Michigan. Michigan is a 10.5 point favorite over Iowa. Over under set at 42. Give me the under and give me Michigan to cover every single day of the week. I think Iowa's offense is anemic. Iowa's defense is ranked 5th overall in total defense. Michigan's defense ranked 4th overall in total defense. I don't think Iowa's offense can score more than 6 points.
And you're not alone on this. It's actually kind of dope because right here in Nevada, it's like the local sports radio talks a lot of betting and stuff. And they'll have betting experts on, and the casinos will host shows.
That's tight. You have the best experts on earth there.
And so everybody, all the wise guys, as Yanni would say, all the wise guys have been just talking shit on Iowa's offense, saying
it's so bad. It's so bad.
All of them. I've heard so many. I've heard Joe Fortenbaugh talk about it. I've heard all the wise guys have been talking shit on Iowa's offense. So I'll co-sign everything you said there. But I just wanted to add that. It's not just you. I've heard a lot of betting experts that said the exact same thing.
In Iowa's first game of the year, they had 8 points at halftime, and it was a field goal and 2 safeties. So if that doesn't already show you this team is anemic on offense, but the defense gets stops. I really love, like I said, the under in Michigan to cover there. Now the last one that we'll do in the Big Ten before we keep it pushing, we got Penn State number 11 minus 25 at home against Northwestern. Give Northwestern all the points on earth. They're one of my bottom 5 teams in college football.
Yeah, you say you hate Northwestern.
They're one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that they have a win over Nebraska and Ireland to open the season, Nebraska's god-awful too. So I don't even think that win is worth shit. So for me, lay the points, take Penn State. They're at home. Northwestern's just so bad.
How many points is it?
25, and that's not enough. It should be 34.
So you're viewing this pretty similar like Ohio State Rutgers, right? Like you think it's going to be a rout?
Oh, yeah, just an absolute rout.
All right. Because otherwise, if you didn't say that, I'd probably be scared by those points. But
over under 51 is a good bet for the over as well, because I think Penn State gets 42 by themselves, and I think they throw in backups, and maybe you get a late tutty from Northwestern if they had a field goal in the first half. I think that's the way I see that. Over under is a little harder there, but I think Penn State cover is just the money move.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. I like it more than the over under.
All right, let's go ACC next, because there is a massive matchup in the ACC. Actually, 2, and these are baller matchups. It's the only 2 we're going to talk about, in my opinion.
I'm glad you got, because I'm not very tapped in with the ACC, so yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it.
So we both, you followed me on Clemson last week. We lost that by them literally missing the 2-point conversion in overtime, which is funny because I texted you. I said, this goes to OT. We're alive if we can get to the second OT, because they were a 7-point favorite. You have to go for 2. If they get that 2, that hits, which sucked. And the way Washington State covered for us last week, chef's kiss.
Yeah,
that shit made no sense. But so this matchup is going to be number 5 Clemson at home against NC State, who's number 10. Over under 45, Clemson once again -7. Thoughts?
A lot of people are liking NC State with the points.
Yeah, I see that.
I know Pat and the boys, I believe, are rolling NC State, if I'm not mistaken.
They are? Here's my problem. What derailed Clemson's season last year? Losing to NC State when they went there. And everyone told them it was upset alert week. And I think DJ Ugalele, I don't know how you say his name, their quarterback for Clemson last week, realized I think that was a game where you get a lot as a quarterback out of that game, right? Because it's a war for 60 minutes. You go to OT, you pull off the victory, and they honestly looked better at the end of the game than they did at the start of the game. They looked great. But in between quarters 2, 3, and middle of 4, Clemson wasn't there. So I think that was a big example of them learning how to win games like that. And I think the revenge factor is huge here. You think Dabo's going to let them forget they lost to NC State last year?
No, and Clemson does have the athletes. Oh no, what is it? I don't know too much about NC State. People seem to like it. They got a quarterback.
They got a really saucy quarterback. Yes, sir. I'm not.
Like
I cannot.
Every 15 years, that NC State gets like an NFL quarterback, just like drops out of the football god.
I think this is also a game where Clemson's defense gets challenged by their defensive coordinator because they gave up so many points to Wake Forest last week, and the defensive line could get no penetration to stop the RPO offense. So what I think you see here is NC State's just going to struggle offensively. I don't know that Clemson's offense is going to light it up, but I think they score probably 30, close to 30, and I think NC State scores maybe 20. So I think
what's the over under at? It sounds like
45. I do like the over, but I'm not as sold on it as Clemson covering.
Yeah, I kind of like the over just because it's so low, right? Like 40s college football game, elite athletes.
Right, and mistakes are always made in college, and mistakes lead to points.
Yeah, especially with this caliber of athlete. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you don't go to Clemson unless you run a 4.3. Like,
this is kind of the same thing we said with A&M, right? Is like when you're that highly recruited as an athlete and you were so good in high school, you have to still have some of that ability. It can't just be lost by the time you get to college.
No, it's not that it's lost. I think it's. I don't know. I think it's all mental. Like we've known guys that like everything was always easy for them, and then the minute that it got tough. You know what I mean?
And that's what I mean is in last week when they overcame that step of being down in the fourth quarter and having to make that comeback, tying the game at the end, winning an OT. That's kind of one of those things where you it brings you back to remembering oh yeah, these games aren't going to be easy, but we're still better.
Yeah. No, I feel it. Yeah, no, I think I like the over in that one, and I'll be real. I'm just I'm stung. I don't know if I can bet Clemson after what they did to me last week.
See, but that's when you got to bet them. That's when you got to bet them.
Smoking like a real scumbag. But also, like, I don't know if I'm trying to bet some flash in the pan NC State quarterback either, because like, what does the rest of the roster look like, right? Like, how good is their right guard? How good is their
defensive tackles? Like
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Their middle backers, like safeties, like yeah, you're right. Clemson. What's Clemson money line?
So Clemson on the money line is minus 265. Not terrible, but I do love them to cover.
Yeah, probably cover, right? What is it? 7 points?
Yeah, 7 points.
They're minus 7.
Yeah, they're giving 7 to NC State, but I think they cover that, man. And Number Fire has it at 18.5 to 25.2 through their simulations, so 6.7. I honestly think Clemson comes out and has a game this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. Almost like the same thing we said about OU, right? Like, they're not going to lose back-to-back weeks, right? Like, they're that strong of a culture, like that.
That football basis. Dabo is the coach, losing last year and having that revenge factor, because if they win that last year, they probably are going to go to the playoff. So
high-level program being run out there.
Exactly right. Now, the final matchup in the ACC we'll talk about before we push to the Pac-12 and wrap it up. Florida State, Wake Forest, 23 versus 22 at FSU. FSU minus 6.5. So they're getting the same credit Clemson got. I don't love that.
Well, I don't think that Wake Forest is going to have the game of their life 2 weeks in a row.
I agree, and I think they used everything.
I think they're being overvalued because of their performance last week.
I would agree with you.
You got to pound on the Florida State. You got to, right?
I think it's Seminoles all day long. Shout out Deion Sanders. Granted, minus 6.5 is going to be a lot for them to cover. Minus 250 on the money line. I probably would want more so to go money line here. Over-under is,
Yeah, those points don't scare me. I think Wake Forest, I don't think they're going to have the game of their life 2 weeks in a row. I think they're obviously going to be beat up and sore from the long overtime game. Maybe even a few injuries here. They're nicked up. You know what I mean? When you play that much football against guys like Clemson. I mean, they're going to spend a lot of time in the training room all week. I'm not scared by the points, man. I'm not. Granted, I don't know a ton, I just think I know the kind of caliber of guys Florida State gets, and I don't know if they can hold up to that 2 weeks in a row of that 5-star caliber, just overachieving 2 weeks in a row, out kicking their coverage 2 weeks in a row. You know what I mean?
What does scare me for Florida State is, were they able to practice this week effectively? Because that hurricane came on the inland side of Florida, which Tallahassee is that northwest corner.
I bet my left nut they got it indoor.
Yeah, for sure, but do they have electricity?
Solid point. I don't know. I think they'll.
I think they cover. I do. I'm with you. I think over under 66. I kind of love the over here because Wake Forest's offense is just going to press you the whole game, and you kind of have to outscore them because that RPO as a linebacker, I'm sure you cannot stand when a lineman just base blocks and doesn't drive forward and doesn't step back, but just kind of holds a lane.
Yeah, you know what, though? As a D coordinator, I think there's an easy fix to the RPO, and it's blitzing the A gaps or B gaps.
Yeah, blitzing the A gaps, I think, is the move.
More people need to do that because then the whole because the O linemen are. I get what you're saying, and I do hate it. When a lineman comes kind of forward and they pass it, it drives me nuts because it's just everything backwards from your keys. However, if you blitz it, the O-linemen are kind of stuck in no man's land. Because how do you pass block a blitzer if you're going forward?
Well, and you're trying to open up a cutback lane for the running back in the case that he does. Because the Wake Forest quarterback will literally hold the ball for 4 seconds while he's reading everyone and then let it go. I noticed that against Clemson. If Clemson's D lineman could get any penetration, they would have won that game outright, no questions. Wouldn't even been close.
As a coach, if your D linemen aren't getting penetration, then you got to do some B gap blitzes, some A gap blitzes.
Something to help them out to get penetration through there for them.
Yeah, you got to get creative with it if you're not getting there with 4 for sure. I put that on some coaching, honestly, but keep it pushing.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up with the Pac-12, doing all the Power Fives here for you people at home that are wondering what we're doing. We've covered the other 4 conferences, so now we end up with the late night. Of course, we say Pac-12, right? Because they always play so fucking late in the day, unless you're you and you live in the West Coast time zone. So really only probably 3 matchups that we'd want to get into here, which is We'll start with Oregon. Oregon's at home versus Stanford. They're minus 17. Give me the under here. Over under 63. I think that Stanford's offense isn't that good. I don't think Oregon's offense is.
I've been hearing bad things about Stanford this year. I've heard it's not a great year for Stanford.
I do like Bo Nickel when he's at home is a way better quarterback than when he's on the road.
Bo Nickel? Is that really his name? Or did you just do a Freudian slip?
No, Bo Nix. I'm sorry,
Bo Nix.
They're very close. It's very close.
He's on my mind, too. Don't worry.
Yeah, sorry. Bo Nickel has. They're planning a fight for him against.
Jamie Pickett.
Jamie Pickett. Yeah, that's why.
That's a dog first fight because that's not a can, but it's also not like a feed to the wolves. I think it's like the perfect level.
And you can't give Bo Nickel a can. Like he's just too good already for him to get.
We're already giving him 2 cans.
That's what I mean. Like you can't just keep giving him cans. We can't see that, and he's decimating cans. But for this, I like Oregon minus 17. I really do. That and the under. I think Oregon wins this game. I think they control this game, and I don't think Stanford's offense gets much done.
Yeah. Give me the under. Yeah, 17's not that much for Oregon at home. But I'll say Stanford's coaches are fucking good.
True.
Look, the 17 kind of scares me, but not enough to. I'll probably just do the under with you.
Yeah, I think under's the move there. But we can keep it pushing. We'll go down one rank. Number 12, Utah, at home against Oregon State. Oregon State pretty much played the game of their life last week against USC. Should have won the game if it wasn't for the USC buying their quarterback and receiver from Pittsburgh and Oklahoma, respectively. Addison's a monster. He won the Blitnikoff last year. He had the late game heroics to win the game against Oregon State. Oregon State's defense is really good. Over-under here set at 54. Utah known for having a great defense usually as well. Utah minus 10.5. I think that I would prefer to go with the under here as well.
See, I think I like Utah minus 10.5. I mean, going into the year, people are saying, it could be national championship contenders, like they're for real, they can compete with the big schools and all this. However, I think I heard one of the wise guys on the radio saying that they have a hurt tight end, so for whatever that's worth. I still like Utah. Yeah, because Oregon State, I mean, nobody really expected much from them. And like I said, Utah at the start of the year is being talked about, like up there, like could potentially like dark horse, like natty contenders. So, I mean, I think probably people have cooled off on that. But however, I think there's a reason why people were saying it,
Yeah, no doubt, man. And so, final game that we'll discuss here is going to be USC, number 6, at home against Arizona State, who is god-awful, fired their coach last week.
Ooh, that's good information.
This is one where USC is minus 25.5, and I'm happy to lay that all the way up to minus probably 29.5. Like, I think at 30 points is where you start to get me a little scared, but I think USC wins this in blowout fashion, especially how close they got played last week.
Where is it at? Is it in Arizona?
No, it's at USC.
Ooh. Yeah. First off, I never thought I would say these words, and I kind of a corny take, but it is kind of cool that USC's back. And I grew up hating USC after they embarrassed OU in the national championship.
Yeah, that
never really got
sucked.
over that.
That sucked a lot.
But I don't know, man. It's kind of cool just because it was just Ohio State and Bama and OU for just like the past like however many years, and then you sprinkle in a Cincinnati or whoever's hot there, UCF or whatever the case may be. And like, so it's good to have USC back. It's good to have kind of West Coast football back. Like the Pac-12 has been just vacant, ghost wasteland for the past, they've been irrelevant. And so I don't know. It's kind of fun to have them at number 6. I'll say. I am familiar with some of their players because they took OU's player their coach.
Right, like fuck.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley's offense scores fucking points. It does, and he's got the best receiver. Caleb Williams, quarterback.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it, man. And especially after last week, whenever their offense got held down, I think they come out and blow it up this week.
Coach got fired, and then they have to go on the road. There's probably some dissension in the locker room.
I also think there's a big difference between firing your coach late in the season and early in the season. If you fire your coach early, it means you already had a short leash, and you've pretty much given up on this year when you fire him early.
The players probably spent all week applying to the transfer portal. Like, literally not even exaggerating.
Right. No, I'm fully with you. I think USC wins this in blowout fashion.
Yeah, it's a lot of points, but there's a lot going on there. You know what I mean?
There's
like,
a reason, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, dude. That was fun. Maybe we can do this. I don't know if we can commit to every week, but we can try to do these. You know, this is fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I hope fans at home can get some good money values here on our UFC bets. I think the Shane. If I had to pick a single bet that I'm just like in love with after we talked about it, it might be the Shanus bet. It really might be, or the Michigan Iowa under. Those are my two. If I'm going to give mortal locks as far as value, those are my two.
If I had to give a lock,
I'm gonna do Iowa Michigan under. My favorite value is gonna be Shanus.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good way to put it. Hey, I like I'll do a lock on my parlay. My parlay, I mean, it's good. I think I'll go a four-legger, which, you know, it comes with a four-legger, makes it a long shot. But I'm gonna go Dern, Brown. You know, I'm going to do Dern, Brown, and Costa three-legger, a Jocko straight bet, and a Shanus straight bet. That's my UFC picks this week.
Awesome. Do you want to know what your parlay value is on that?
Yeah, sure. Do like a $10 parlay just for easy numbers, easy zeros.
All right. So if you'll give me...
So Dern minus 230, Brown minus 325, and Costa minus 285 with a $10 bet.
Okay. Minus 230, minus 285. What was the other one?
Minus 230, minus 325, and minus 285.
All right. So that is going to be, that pays you out $15.35.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. But then, all right, add minus 125 for the four-legger. Add Jocko in there. So I like Jocko.
So that's going to be a $10 bet to pay out $35.62.
That's more what I'm talking about.
That feels good.
That's more my speed. That's the value I look for.
That feels good.
The four-legger is tough, and the minus 125, but I think Jocko's undervalued at minus 125. So it's a little more risky. Obviously, that's the name of the game. The more the risk, the more it pays. Like, duh. So, I mean, it kind of goes without saying. But a couple different options for you. If you're a conservative bettor, that first three-legger, just, you know, shoot fish in a barrel. And then if you want to get a little jiggy with it, you can try the four-legger.
Or if you want to swap out any of that last UFC bet, or if you want to swap out your minus 230, let's say, for this Michigan Iowa under, because obviously you can do cross sports here. Thank you, Vegas. So if we swap out that first fight, you then are getting a $10 bet to win 78.62.
That's gorgeous. Is that a three-legger?
Four-legger. That's with Yatko and the Iowa Michigan under, and then I believe Randy Brown and Xiaonan or Dern.
Wow, nice. So just no Costa.
Yeah.
Okay. Replace Costa with the football bet, and that's the value you get.
Yeah. Not bad. Wow. Not bad.
That's not bad. That's fun, dude. That's fun. Let's win some money. Everybody, let's win some money this weekend. Sports fans, let's go. Beefy Nation, we got this. And we'll go to, and then we'll be right here to hold ourselves accountable. Fucking either Sunday or Monday on the actual Beefy Boys breakdown episode.
Yeah, absolutely. We did. Tune in Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday during the day, whenever we get that live going. But we will be breaking down the fights, referencing our bets, and talking about where we hit and did not.